Hey, this is Kirsten Klug, and I'm just starting my podcast again. This is Healthy and Fun Choices. The podcast is called Brilliant, and I'm going to be putting these also on YouTube. So if you're watching this, maybe you're seeing me on YouTube or Facebook, or maybe you've gone to the podcast, Audible, or wherever you find it. But the concept of these conversations are to help you understand how I live my life, which is a little bit different than maybe other people. When I have a perspective on something, it's slightly different. I get that a lot from other people. Oh my gosh, that perspective is different. There was just something shared online on Facebook about a powerful woman and how she's not in that victim and she becomes a survivor. And I said, well, that's interesting. I don't think it's about being a survivor. I think it's also about being a thriver. I feel like when you're a survivor, you're just looking at like, what were the problems in my past, or what am I trying to stay away from? Or, you're still looking as surviving. You're still looking for what all those things are that you need to survive. When really I'm thinking, um, and knowing that it's not just survival mode, I've got to be in a thriving mode. So when I had situations, say with my son, and we kept butting heads on like time management or getting places on time or leaving for appointments on time, I start to think about what are we doing? How are we setting ourselves up so that we can thrive in that situation instead of survive? So I go back. I'm not perfect. I look at the laundry's not done. I need to get the laundry done. We need to get it put away. We need it in the right place so that when we're looking for something particular that we need to get dressed and go out the door, we have it and we can move forward. Or if we are hungry, we need to have some food in the house that we like. We've got food in the house, but it's not necessarily the ones that we like. So it's kind of like I need to go shopping. I need to fill up the refrigerator or the pantry. I don't have a big pantry. I'm more of a type of person that thinks about what do we want now? What do we want this week? And so in order to plan ahead, I do need to take into consideration what are some things that we like ongoing, right? That survival mode is not having enough. You're really living in that surviving state where it's just their basic needs are being met. And so, how can I think differently? Like, if I really want some granola bars, or I really want some bananas, or I like blueberries, or what is it that you like, then you set it up that way. So, that's what I'm noticing is when we're more challenged with our time or getting to places on time or not being in that surviving state, we have stepped back a little bit and have looked at more things. Like I said, laundry, food, shelter, heat, whatever it is, how can you make sure that you're getting enough sleep? So in order to get enough sleep, same thing. It's not looking, the survival mode is like, oh, I woke up again, or oh, this woke me up, or I got up in the morning, I didn't really feel rested. Maybe it's because my phone was right next to me, or maybe it's because I fell asleep sitting up watching a movie, or whatever it is. So I always say then we need to move out of that and we need to look at how do we set ourselves up for going to bed and getting enough sleep. And are our blankets in the right, are they where we like them? Do we have the right comfort on top? I know, like, my daughter likes a heavier blanket. Some people like share a bed and couples, and they share the blanket, but then one maybe gets hot or one gets cold. And I remember after having my hysterectomy and all those hot flashes, I realized, hey, it's better for me to have my own blanket. I can toss it on, toss it off. That really helped us a lot. So anyway, so those things, but like now, I don't share my bed with anyone else. It's just me. And so that's kind of fun. I like the soft fleece. And so what I typically do is I put down a a cover on my bed. Then I put the fleece on top because I actually like the softness. And then on top of me, I put another fleece blanket and maybe my comforter, which is like real thin, kind of like a quilt. But me having those things, and then I also have a heating pad nearby so I could get hot or cold when I need to. And I have my sleep apnea machine, and so when I have that turned on, I sleep better. And so just thinking of all those elements of what I need so I can get a whole good night's sleep. I make sure my bed is flat, not raised up, not sitting up. And I think about what I ate or what I drank before I went to bed, and just making sure all of my, um, bathroom needs are met. I've gone to the bathroom, I've brushed my teeth, I've done whatever I needed to do so that when I get into bed, I feel comfortable, I feel safe. And again, instead of looking at that, survivor mode, like things aren't quite right and I'm not quite feeling right in this moment, I try and look at that thriver mode. How am I able to set up this situation so that I can sleep well, so that I can wake up? And when I wake up, I'm like, wow, I had a good night's sleep. That's what I felt like this morning when I woke up. So that was pretty cool. So then again, it's all those little details. And want to speak to people with disabilities and people who have learning differences, people who have communication disorders like myself. I have aphasia, I've had traumatic brain injuries, and I've been through a lot. And it was all, and now I'm speaking, of course, and you'll see, like, as I start to speak, sometimes I will mess up with words. I will say the wrong thing. I will go in the wrong order. I may mumble. I might, so on and so forth. And so, whatever path I start going down, if I can't quite find the words or figure out what I was supposed to say, I might shift. And so, when you listen to these podcasts, you might hear me shift and jump around a little bit. And that's probably somewhat because of my disabilities, but also it's my way of thinking, right? I have more of that creative mindset, that creative brain, that if there's a problem that comes up, then I'm going to figure out some ideas and solutions on how to solve them. And I typically go around in a circle until it comes back, right? So we started at one place and it comes back to where it needs to go. And so that's really that communication that I'm talking about. And how can we, even with aphasia, how can we speak like this? How can we get up on a screen and talk to myself? That's why a lot of people don't really like Zoom, is you're looking at yourself and you're talking to yourself. And I know when the pandemic hit and so many of us had to use Zoom, I was teaching in a classroom and then I had been in bad accidents and I was recovering. Um, and so I decided just to jump on and help others learn Zoom and create like summits and conversations online. And so much was helping people understand how to talk to yourself and kind of overcoming that self-confidence issue. And so with my brain injury and my aphasia, I sound different. And especially when I listen to the video, we all listen to our videos or hear us talk, and we think we sound different than we do. When we look at a Zoom, like I am facing myself and it's looking a different way because Zoom flips the picture and then it's going to flip it back to you. So I don't know if you're familiar with that. With a brain injury, um, sometimes, like if I have just met people on Facebook or online, I see them one way. And then when I'm in person, now they're flipped, right? The normal way. Um, but because I met them online or I see photos of them online, my brain actually has a little bit of challenge to recognize the face because in person, because now it's flipped. Or so if I met you first in person and then I go online, you're going to look a little bit different because you're flipped. And so then the online social media connections are a little bit different for me, and I may not recognize you. I may think, where do I know you from? So that is why I ask a lot of questions and I'm trying to create connections, because the brain injuries that I have is challenged by some connections. The more questions that I ask, the more connections I can have, the more that I'm going to remember, the more that it's going to all make sense. And then also, there's conversation pieces from that. And so much about what I do is creating that space holding that space so that we can be who we're meant to be. We can thrive in the moment. We can create supportive, inclusive spaces and, honor our cultural heritage. I speak about that in my yoga. Like when we step down on this earth, and I'm even thinking about it right now because I'm sitting in a chair, and I think about like, where are my hands as I reach up to the sky and the stars, right? Looking beyond that roof. And where are my feet? My feet are planted on the ground. Now I'm on the second level of my house, but if I can imagine my feet hooking down into the earth and connecting with the earth underneath, and then all the roots that are underneath the ground that we may or may not see coming from nature, coming from the trees, and coming from all the people who have walked on this earth before us, before we had houses here, before I was sitting on the second level. I believe that that support, that cultivating of joy, and that understanding that we have places here, that we are on this earth, our places here for a reason. We were born for a reason. When I can think about that, both the connecting with the earth, the knowing that we were born for a reason, to make a difference, to connect, to create a community, then I feel like I have a reason to live. But when I get into that survivor or frustrated mode and thinking that I don't have enough, I'm comparing myself to others. I see that people can just fluently talk about things, and I focus on what I can't do or what I'm not saying quite correctly, or a speech impediment that I notice. Or I remember one time I was being coached by a speaking coach, and that was the first time I got into National Speakers Association. It was probably around 2012, quite a long time ago. And I went to a conference, and during the time I also did the Speakers Academy, learned a lot about speaking. And the reason I bring this up is this person, I still hear her in my head, but she kept telling me that you say and you say like, and you say this, and you say that, and you're not quite doing this right. You're not quite doing that right. Now, maybe that was her job, was to help someone become a better speaker and take those words out. But to me, it held me back because I started focusing on what am I not doing versus what can I do. And so through my years, I decided that if I was not speaking well enough, like I was saying all those words that I wasn't supposed to be saying, or I was hesitating, I didn't also look at how I was connecting with people. And I know that when I get on stage, when I pick up that microphone, or when I have an opportunity like this, I connect with people on a deeper level than just what I'm saying right here. And I think it is because I think about grounding myself on the earth and appreciating the cultural heritage that we have had. And I think about all my ancestors um, that gave me the ability to speak even when it's hard, or even if I have a speech impediment, or even if I say my S's wrong, or even if I can write backwards easier than I can write forwards, and even if things don't quite make sense when I'm reading. So by focusing on what can I do now, instead of survival with a speech impediment, or like I said, not saying something quite right, holds you back. It holds you back because then you focus on what you're doing wrong versus what are you doing right, or how can you set up the situation so that you can thrive. And so for me, sometimes I'll put little notes up and I'll set them to the side. So I have little notes over here. I have little notes over here. Some people like to read their text, as it's coming through and be really specific. Now, there might be some courses that I do that is specific like that, and I read the text. Right now I'm ad-libbing, and that's why where you might see some ability to go in circles, right? That creativity mindset comes in, and so I may jump to one place or jump to the other place, but again, it's all connecting. It's connecting on this ability to hold space, this ability to form trust, this ability to start connections, even when we have deficits. This ability to go from that survivor mode of like comparing what wasn't working to then moving into the thriver mode and making plans of what can work. And so what can work for me is more opportunities for me to speak in front of people and inspire them about all this. This is just one topic. And I think, for a while I was thinking I had to niche down and be on a specific topic. But then when I was thinking about when I coach, say like ski racers come from all different backgrounds. They're all different ages. They're all different genders. They come from different schools. They come from different homes. And I don't get a ski racer and say, you know what, you're in this section, I can't work with you. Or you're in this one over here and I can't work with you. I work with all of them. I'm creating them how to overcome challenges. And that's the same right here with me having conversations with you, with me speaking in front of companies, organizations, school districts, at conferences. I really have a good ability to take the stage and connect and give ideas and create that whole story, the creativity of solving problems, not just in the small details, but also looking at the big picture. So that ability to think small and think big helps businesses, helps the communities, creates a safe space again where we're all learning and growing and we're not stuck, right? We're not stuck again in that survivor mode. We're creating the thriving spaces. We're creating that ability so that we can be brilliant, even with all of our mistakes. My favorite teacher was my oboe teacher, and he taught me how to play the oboe, which is a really hard instrument. And he had lost all the tips of his fingers, but he still played the oboe beautifully. He taught lessons in the middle of his garage, and on the outside of the garage was a train, HO train tracks that he created cities and spaces, and it was just so inspiring. So sometimes when we were done with our lessons, he would stop the lesson, we'd play with the trains. We had fun. And he really taught me how to take your challenges or mistakes and keep moving forward with those, and how I could keep playing, or how to ad lib when you're playing the oboe, especially in solos. Maybe you forget something, and instead of stopping, how to keep going and make it mint, or not mint, make others think that it was part of that solo, or maybe you enhance the solo a little bit more just because you made the mistakes. People don't realize mistakes could actually be enhancements. And so that's why I'm here. I'm hoping that I can connect with you. I can get out into more environments and speak where I really thrive. Give me a microphone and I thrive in that place, in that space. And so allowing us to understand how we can move forward with whatever challenges we have in communications is why I'm here. And so I'm really sharing this with you, and I hope that you connect with this. And I hope that I can continue to help others stand up, get outside, connect with nature, and figure out how to not necessarily take your challenges and look at them or be mad at them or frustrated by them, but rather take your challenges and maybe you tuck them in your back pocket, or maybe you carry them on your shoulder, or maybe you put them on your head and you carry it on your head. What are the challenges? How can you take those and create yourself with all your challenges, with your impediments, with your disabilities? How can we carry ourselves as we are? So this is Kirsten Klug, and I think that we are brilliant. We are brilliant the moment we're born, and now it's our ability to keep moving forward and shining with that brilliancy. Again, I also have just received the honor of being an ambassador for the National Aphasia Association, and I always laugh that saying aphasia or saying dyslexia or saying whatever, that you have a traumatic brain injury. That's a big word, having a stroke and all that comes with that. Those words are funny because they are hard to say, and um, that's what we have. So if you have any questions, want to connect with me, certainly send me a message, um, or connect with me on Facebook, or social media, um, and or leave a note down below in this, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that's how we're going to grow. Um, all those big speakers, Mel Robbins, Darren Hardy, The Diary of a CEO, Haberman, so many of those that I really enjoy and appreciate started like I'm starting today. They stopped surviving and they started thriving. They stopped saying, I'm not quite enough, and I have mistakes and failures and challenges and disabilities. They stopped looking at those. They know that, but they started connecting more. And so here I am on day one of what this is, what it becomes, and I look forward to so many more conversations. So I'll look forward to getting to know you. And thanks so much for listening. And if nobody's told you, go ahead and smile today. Say hello to someone you don't know. Get your feet into the ground. And if you can't get your feet onto the ground, in the dirt, and feel the connections we have with the cultural experience, our heritage. Reach out to someone from your past, maybe a mom, a dad, a grandparent, a cousin, say hello. See how you can connect through story and conversation. And maybe there's something that they do or say that is just a part of you, right? And finally, like I'm encouraging myself, get my laundry done, get the food that you like, in your house, create a house that's a home. Have some spaces where your family can connect instead of connecting on the phone. Everyone has the phone, right? Look at, I even have a little smiley face to remember, and for myself to smile. And then of course, when I'm taking photos, right? But instead of just being on our phone, I want us to connect, creating those spaces that we can connect in is such a great way to create a home and a family, and be supportive. So those are my 2 cents for today. Every day I'm going to share something at the end to inspire, to help you get out and to live life to your fullest. I created these little cards, and I'm going to hold one up now because it says, be grateful. And it has the mountain and the sun. I always love the sun, and the sun comes out every day, wherever I am. And it says namaste. And that means I recognize the power in you and you recognize the power in me. And this backside is about fitness, so much about functional fitness, just getting up and getting strong, or knowing how to use our sticks or whatever, our wheelchair, our prosthetics, our whatever it is going to give us the ability to like lift a box or hug a child or whatever it is. So those are just little cards that I've created, through Healthy and Fun Choices, the publishing, and books and so on. So I'll look forward to connecting with you. Take care.